Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to give everybody just a couple more minutes to get logged in. I know sometimes it takes a little while to get your computer up and going and that sort of thing. So we'll get started in just a couple more minutes. And so just please hang out just for another moment or two. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Amanda Hancock, and I'll be your presenter for the next little bit. And I know we still have some people coming and joining the presentation, so I won't try and get started just right away, but I'll do some housekeeping before we start. First off, at the end of the presentation, I'm going to open it up for a chat box. So if you have a question, please go ahead and send that in to me. I am going to try to answer a lot of the questions that were sent in when you registered for the presentation today. So if you want to hang on until the end and you can send those questions in, I will allow time out. And that chat box is in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And you should just be able to type in a little message. It says type your message and pretty far down on the page. So um, hopefully you all can see that. For those of you that are joining in by phone, unfortunately you won't be able to submit a question. But if you do have any other questions that I don't answer here today, you can please email us and we'll be reaching out to everyone that maybe we didn't answer your questions specifically. If you send something in on the registration form that pertains to your particular tour or you need help with family heritage arrangements, things like that, we'll be reaching out to you personally after the presentation today. Everyone will receive a copy of the presentation today as well, so if you choose to listen to it later, that is certainly an option for you. So, okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. Looks like we have a pretty good group today. So the reason that we are doing this is to kind of give you some ideas of what to pack, what currency you might need, where to meet, etc. before you head off to Scandinavia this summer. So first I'll go over some general information and then I'll answer some of the questions that were submitted on the registration forms. And then, like I said, at the end of the presentation, I'll open it up for any additional questions you might have. And if you have any, like I said, if you have any questions related to your specific tour that I may not cover online today, we'll follow up with you afterward via email to make sure that your questions were answered. All right, so let's get started. So again, my name is Anna Hancock. I'm the manager of sales and marketing for Brekke Tours. If you have any questions that I don't answer for you today, again, please feel free to reach out to us by phone or email. I also invite you to visit our website as you'll find a variety of information about traveling to Scandinavia and beyond on there. And I know you have, um, many of you may have received this helpful hints booklet. If not, we will send a copy of that with our final documents. And if you need another copy of that, please just let us know. We'll be happy to send another copy out. A lot of the answers that I'm covering today are found in this helpful hints book. And so there's a lot of good information inside. All right, so first off, know your documents. A few weeks before you depart on your trip to Scandinavia, you can expect to receive a packet of information from our office. And we usually send one packet of information per couple. So if it's a husband and wife, we'll usually just send one packet of information. If you need an additional packet, please let us know. We'll be happy to send another one out. In the package, you'll find the following information: a departure letter with some basic information pertaining to your specific tour, a final tour itinerary, your final flight itinerary, some luggage tags, a tote bag, contact information for the hotels that you'll be staying at while on tour, airport information, and any additional information that might pertain to your particular tour. Now, some documents are more important than others. For instance, please double check that your passport is valid for at least 3 to 6 months after your travel dates. So if you're departing in May and you're coming back, say the 1st of June, you'll want your passport to be valid at least through, let's see, June, July, August, September, at least through September, so that you will be able to come back into the States upon your return. Um, Also, please be sure to pack your passport and a copy of your passport in your carry-on. Don't put it in your checked bag. So you may also want to leave a copy of your passport with a family member or friend, which can be sent to the U.S. Embassy in case your passport is lost or stolen while overseas. So you'll want to take your passport and your carry-on and maybe make 2 copies, one that you will take with you and another that you will leave with a family or friend back here in the US. Please take a few moments and ensure that the name listed on your airline ticket matches your passport name, and this includes your first, middle, and last name. You may also want to keep your airline receipt to ensure that your miles are credited to your account. So if you have a frequent flyer account, just keeping that receipt just to make sure that your points are credited. The airlines are responsible for crediting your points to your frequent flyer account. Thus, if your account balance is incorrect, I would ask that you reach out to the airlines directly, since that's something that we are unfortunately not able to help with. And finally, if you've booked any independent services with us, say you're coming to Norway early or you're doing an Iceland stopover, we will send you additional documents, and please review those before departing the US and contact us immediately if you notice any errors or if you have any questions. Please note that the vouchers will have emergency contact numbers in case you need assistance while traveling. And finally, please be sure to note any special instructions on your vouchers. For instance, train vouchers must be exchanged for an actual ticket before you board the train. So we'll try to include all that information on your vouchers for any pre or post tour stays, but it's always a good idea to review that information and take note. Now, luggage allowance. On the land portion of your tour, we allow 1 suitcase and 1 carry-on bag per person. Luggage handling at the hotels is provided for 1 suitcase. Thus, your luggage will be delivered and picked up at your room at the beginning and end of your stay. We do provide 2 luggage tags per person. Thus, please put these tags on your large suitcase and your carry-on. You may also want to put a label with your name, address, and phone number inside your luggage in case your tag becomes separated. Now, most airlines do allow 1 free piece of checked luggage on international flights. If you do have any domestic tickets booked in conjunction with your international flight, the airlines may charge a baggage fee. Thus, you'll want to check with your airline before departing to see if any fees will apply. Typically, your checked luggage can weigh up to 50 pounds, and the dimensions cannot exceed 62 inches, and that's length plus width plus height. And basically a standard large roller bag is what we recommend. And then for your carry-on, typically the weight cannot exceed 22 pounds, and the dimensions should not go over 45 inches. And again, that's length plus width plus height. As airline, because luggage fees and restrictions vary from airline to airline, I would recommend contacting your airline directly for more information. And so Here you'll find a list of websites for each of the major carriers that we use for our tours. If you do have a flight on a different carrier, please let us know. We're happy to share that website. All right, now what to pack. Inside your suitcase, you may want to pack the following. So casual clothing is appropriate for all of our tours. For the nights that we have dinner included, you may want to bring some slacks and a nice shirt or a blouse, as Scandinavians do like to dress up a bit for dinner. But it's completely optional, so it's up to you. Clothing that can be layered is recommended, as temperatures can change depending on your travel during the day. Good walking shoes are a must, as you'll be doing some sightseeing along cobblestone streets and walking in the mountains of Norway. So that's not really a place for heels and flip-flops, so definitely recommend some good walking shoes. A raincoat with a removable lining is a good choice, or you may want to bring a rain poncho. A light coat or jacket may be necessary in the morning and during the evening. You may also want to bring a swimsuit if you'd like to enjoy any of the pools or spas at the hotels. And finally, leave your valuables at home. If it's something that will create an emotional or financial hardship, it's best to leave it behind. And in case your luggage is delayed, I recommend packing a change of clothes in your carry-on bag. And if you're traveling with someone, put some of your clothes in their bag and vice versa in case one bag is delayed. Now, for the ladies that are joining us today, I put together this little picture here that kind of gives you some ideas on what you might want to bring. And for the men, there's travel tips by ken.blogspot.com in case you're needing some ideas on what you might want to pack. Now, some of you have asked about gifts to bring to Norwegian relatives. So if you are planning to visit family or friends in Scandinavia, you may want to bring a small gift such as an American flag or a windsock, books, calendars, caps, t-shirts, or other items that are unique to your city or state, college or professional sport clothing or caps, Native American or country and western themed items, liquor or liqueurs, always popular in Norway, and for children, Disney clothing, candy, puzzles, or cartoon characters are always popular. All right, some other items that you may want to include: an extra memory card or batteries for your camera, snacks, and a refillable water bottle. The water in Scandinavia is perfectly safe to drink out of the tap, so it's perfectly safe just to bring a refillable water bottle. You can fill that up before you head out for the day. Um, Washcloths. Now that's something that a lot of people aren't aware of, that in Scandinavia, hotels do not offer washcloths. So if it's something that you use regularly to wash your face in the evening, you will probably want to bring some from home. Tissues, a calculator, which most of the time can be found on your phone, some gifts or safety pins, medications, and that includes prescription and over-the-counter. So if you happen to take aspirin or something like that, you'll want to go ahead and bring enough for your trip with you. Band-aids and a first aid kit are also popular items to bring. A converter and an adapter. We'll talk about those in a little bit more detail in just a minute. Sunscreen and sunglasses. If you're like me and you wear glasses, then you'll need extra eyeglasses or a repair kit or extra contacts and solution. Maps and travel information. Spot removers such as a Tide stick or a wipe. Inflatable pillow and eye mask. Umbrella or a poncho. A journal to record your favorite memories. A small day pack, and this can be used for sweaters, your camera, snacks, and water. And then plastic baggies. So if you happen to use the swimming pool or the spa and you are leaving the next day, if something is still wet, you can put it in a plastic baggie and it won't ruin the rest of your clothing. So the climate in Scandinavia is very similar to that of the northeastern United States, though rarely as hot during the summer or cold in the winter. So average daytime temperatures in Fahrenheit for June, July, and August range from the high 40s to the mid 60s, depending upon your region of travel. So it's always a good idea to check the weather before you depart the US. So if you are traveling on one of our tours and you know that you're going to Oslo, Bergen, and Trondheim, you may need to bring, Bergen is known for being rainy, so you'll definitely want a rain poncho or a waterproof coat or an umbrella. And then Oslo usually tends to be a little bit warmer than Trondheim, so you might want to bring a jacket or a heavy sweater for traveling up north. So here we're going to talk about the difference between a converter and an adapter. Now the world runs on two types of electricity, 110, 125 volt or 220 to 40 volts. North American devices typically run 110, 125, while the rest of the world runs 220, 240. So you'll need a converter to change the voltage of electricity to match the voltage of your device from the US. So since Norway runs on 220, you'll need a converter to convert that to 110 for your hair, your curling iron, electric toothbrush, charger, um, anything else that you are thinking to bring that is not dual voltage. So if you're not sure if your item is dual voltage, you may want to look on your device itself. So there are usually two spots that it's on. It's affixed directly to the back of the device on the AC transformer box of the power supply lead. So it's the little box that you actually plug into the wall, or molded into the piece of plastic on the plugs. So it's usually pretty small and hard to find. If you're not sure and want to purchase a dual voltage item, usually they're not too much more than what you find for just a single voltage. And if your device is dual voltage, all that you will need is an adapter, which changes the plug type. Um, so you would just plug your device into the back and then use the two-prong plug to plug into the wall. So the adapters usually run about $3 to $5. They're much less expensive than a converter, which can run $20 to $25. Another question that we often get is about currency. So Norway, Denmark, Sweden, and Iceland each have their own currency known as the kroner. In Finland, they use euro. So the currencies of the five countries are not interchangeable. So for those of you that are going on our Captivating Scandinavia or Taste of Sweden and Norway, you will need to exchange currencies as you travel between countries. Now, the easiest place to exchange money is at your arrival airport. You can also exchange money at banks and some post offices. Your tour director can assist with locating an exchange desk or an ATM. You will find that most major credit cards, Visa, MasterCard, and in some larger stores, American Express, are honored. So, however, there's something that you may want to check with your credit card company before you depart the US, and that is any foreign transaction fees. So these can range 1 to 3% depending on your credit card company. So if you have a card that doesn't charge a foreign transaction fee, that might be the one that you want to take with you. Um, Another thing that we also recommend is that you contact your credit card company before you depart the US. You'll want to let them know your travel dates, where you'll be going, so that your card isn't put on a fraud hold and you won't be able to spend anything until that can get corrected. I also recommend making a photocopy of the front and back side of your cards to leave behind with someone at home who can assist you in case your cards are misplaced, lost, or stolen. Now, ATMs are available in larger cities. We don't really recommend taking traveler's checks just because they're not widely accepted anymore. If you do have a question as you're shopping and want to know how much um, this item costs in US dollars, so if it's 800 Norwegian kroner, you would divide that by 8. If it's Danish kroner, you would divide that by 6 to get the US dollar amount. Swedish kroner, you would divide by 8. Icelandic kroner divided by 100, And for euro, you multiply by 1.1 in order to get the US dollar amount, just to kind of give you an approximation. So not exact, but it will get you pretty close. So if you're planning to fly out of Minneapolis, St. Paul on your departing flight, you may be interested in our Park and Fly special in conjunction with the Hyatt Regency Bloomington Mall of America. So it's near the Mall of America, of course, and rates start at $119 per for a king or two queen bedroom, and it includes 10 free days of parking. So it also has a shuttle to the airport and the Mall of America. And if it's something that you'd like to talk to us about, please give us a call or send us an email, and we are happy to make that arrangement for you and get that reserved. Now, the next slide is for us talking about Iceland Air. So all of our escorted tours will fly on Iceland Air, departing from Terminal 2 at the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport. All flights will route through Keflavik Airport in Iceland. So I'm going to back up and talk about the Minneapolis Airport just one second. There are two terminals at the Minneapolis Airport. There's Terminal 1, which is Lindbergh, and Terminal 2, which is Humphrey. So if you're flying into Minneapolis, most likely you will arrive in Terminal 1, Lindbergh. However, Iceland Air flies out of Terminal 2, Humphrey. So if there is free transportation between the two terminals, so if you look in our helpful hints on page 13, there's some more information on how to transfer between the two. So like I said, all Iceland Air flights will route through Keflavik Airport in Iceland. Passengers arriving on Iceland Air and continuing on to Norway or Scandinavia will need to show their passport at customs before heading to the gate for your next leg of your flight to Scandinavia. You will not need to collect your luggage in Reykjavik if it has been ticketed all the way through your final destination. So when you check in, if it shows that your luggage is checked through all the way to Oslo or Bergen, depending on where you're arriving, Stockholm, anything like that, then you won't have to collect your luggage there. It'll go right on through. So you will have to switch planes in Iceland, but the layover time is much shorter. You really only need about 30 to 45 minutes to go from gate to gate, and that's going through passport control. So it's pretty easy to get around. We have noticed that the Iceland airport has gotten busy as Iceland Air has grown. Unfortunately, their airport hasn't. So it can get quite crowded at the airport and a little difficult to find your gate. But if you do have questions, there are people there that can help. The easiest thing to do is to find your gate, and then if there's a line, follow the line and join at the end. So during your flight with Iceland Air, you can expect free in-flight entertainment, headphones, which are for sale, or you can bring your own. You will receive complimentary water, soft drinks, tea, and coffee. However, if you're flying in economy class, food is for purchase. So if you're sitting in the Saga class, then you will get a meal on board. However, if you're in economy, which is what most of our group flights will be on, food will be for purchase. So snacks range from $2 to $5 for chips, sweets, trail mix, and pastries. And then meal items are usually $8 and up, and that includes snack boxes, sandwiches, or a salad. You can also bring meals on board too. So, so if you'd rather purchase something in the airport and bring it on board, you can certainly do that. Now, for those of you that had requested window or aisle seats on your tour applications, we do request those with the airline. So we have sent those over to Iceland Air or whoever it may be that you're flying with. However, we can't guarantee that the airlines will not change or cancel the seats after the request has been made. So they have the final say, unfortunately, and we can't guarantee that those seats won't be changed. So if we're not able to assign the seats at the time of booking, you will be assigned a seat when checking into the flight. So you do have a seat on the plane. It's just that we may not be able to assign it ahead of time. Exit row seating and bulkhead seating will not be able to be pre-assigned before check-in. Bulkhead seating is usually reserved for people with small children or with disabilities. You must be able to operate the emergency door to sit in the exit row, and they will determine that upon check-in. If you need wheelchair assistance or an electric cart for transfers at connecting flights, we can request that, but you'll need to re-verify at the airports when checking in. So we are more than happy to send those requests to the airports. It's just that we do ask whenever you check in that you go ahead and confirm that they have somebody available that will assist you. All right, so once you have arrived at your destination, how do you avoid the jet lag that comes with that long flight? So if your flight arrives in the morning, try to sleep on board. And if you're like me, you have trouble sleeping on the plane, you may want to try over-the-counter sleep aids. You may also want to bring an eye mask, earplugs, and a blanket or pillow if that will help you sleep. Bring a toothbrush and anything else which isn't a liquid or a gel that you need to help freshen up before you get off the plane. Be sure and wear loose clothing. Wear comfortable shoes and try not to take them off as your feet can sometimes swell during long flights. When possible, walk up and down the aisle to stretch your limbs and get the blood circulating. If the airline offers an in-flight exercise video, you may want to participate in that. Drink plenty of water on the plane, and you want to avoid alcohol, caffeine, and carbonated drinks. Avoid wearing your contact lenses in flight because the cabin air does tend to dry them out. And if you tend to get airsick, drink a small bottle of ginger ale before you board and pack a newspaper in your carry-on bag. The ginger ale will help calm your stomach, and so will the smell of newspaper. And once you arrive in Scandinavia, spend a lot of time out in the sunlight. Most of you guys will be going during the time of the midnight sun, so you'll have almost 24 hours of daylight. So this will help your body reset its natural time clock to coincide with your new surroundings. So know where to meet your group. If you're traveling on one of our escorted tours and with our group flight, airport transfers in Scandinavia are included for people arriving and departing on the designated flights of our tours. So after you disembark the plane, you'll collect your luggage and you'll proceed through passport control. You will see two exits, green if you have nothing to declare, and red if you have something to declare. Most of the time, you'll go through the green, so you'll choose the appropriate exit, and then after leaving the customs area, you'll continue to the arrival hall, and this is where you will meet your lovely tour director. And so here's a picture of one of our owners, Brekke. She's holding the lovely Brekke sign, so you will be able to identify her right away. Now, if you're arriving on a different flight than our group, you are welcome to join our transfers, provided that the arrival time is similar. And please just let us know what your flight information is, and we'll make sure that that gets over to the guide, and so they can be on the lookout for you. If for some reason your flight should be delayed, or if your arrival time does not coincide with a group transfer, not to worry, there are several different modes of transportation from the airport to the hotel, depending on where it is you're landing. So there's usually airport buses with frequent departures. Trains and taxis may also be available. If you're taking the bus or the train, it may be necessary to take a taxi from the central station to the hotel, but we can certainly help you make those arrangements ahead of time and know exactly what you need to do when you get there. You can then meet your group at the hotel that night for dinner. That information about dinner and where to meet is listed in your departure letter that we'll send you. And I recommend referring to page 12 of our helpful hints for transfer options at the various airports. But again, if you do have questions, we're more than happy to answer those. So some information about your hotel rooms. The first thing that you may notice is that they're a lot smaller than what you find here in the US, and not all of them will have air conditioning. All the hotels used on our tours will have private bathrooms with a shower or a tub, a toilet, and a sink. So you won't have to go back there or go down the hall to take a shower or anything like that. So if you get to your room and think there's a fuse blown when the lights and the TV don't turn on, you will need to look for a little box. Normally it's located near the door to slip your key card into. This will activate the electricity, and before you leave, you'll need to take that out. So it's a great way to control the consumption of energy, but it's a little different than what we expect here in the US. So just be on the lookout for that. Now, some hotels in larger cities will have a guest laundry room or offer cleaning services. However, the cleaning services is usually at an additional cost. For more information on these services, I would ask when you check in at the front desk. So nearly all hotels offer internet access in their lobbies at a computer station, and most hotels nowadays do offer wireless connections as well in the room. Before you set up on your own, you may want to grab a business card or a map from the front desk. In case you get lost, you can use a business card to ask for directions using the map in order to get back to your hotel. And most of the time you will find a hair dryer, clothes iron, or pants press along with shower gel and shampoo in your room. However, if you can't find the hair dryer, sometimes it's tucked underneath the sink or it's just in a drawer and you can't find it, you can just call down to the front desk and they'll bring you the items. So just to give you some ideas of the physical expectations while on our tour, most tours, most days on the tour will start between 7:30 and 9, depending on that day's schedule. A breakfast buffet is served each morning at the hotel, so you should reserve some time for eating before you depart. And so your guide will let you know at the end of the day prior what time to expect to be on the bus the next day. So you can expect to arrive at your hotel each night around 6 p.m., and sometimes we do arrive earlier. So on travel days, we'll have several stops to allow for restroom breaks and sightseeing activities. While most tours are leisurely, you can expect to walk short distances each day, sometimes over uneven terrain such as cobblestones. You'll also need to be able to climb the steps in and out of the bus. Restrooms can be located in lower levels of buildings, and sometimes there are no elevators. So that's something to be aware of. If you have difficulty going up or down the stairs, please let us know ahead of time. We can try to, make alternative arrangements if we know that a restroom is not um, handicap accessible, or accessible by an elevator. If assistance is needed throughout the tour, we do ask that you bring a qualified and physically capable companion to assist you. So we try to give as much assistance as we can, but if we have multiple people on the tour that need assistance, it's a little hard for our tour guide to help everybody at the same time. So you can, of course, choose to opt out of any activities while on tour. So if it's something that maybe you're not interested in, or you've been there, done that, and you want to do something different, that's totally your option. Motorized scooters are not suitable for any of our escort tours, unfortunately. So unfortunately, we do not control the universe. So sometimes things do happen. There's rock slides, there's avalanches, strikes that we just have no control over. So if something does happen while you're overseas and you need help, here are a few helpful hints. First, ask help from your tour director, from lost luggage to finding a good place to eat. Your tour director is there to help ensure that your vacation is as carefree as possible. If you happen to leave your phone behind in the hotel room, which has happened many times, need an injury seen to by a doctor, also something that's happened, or have something stolen, not as frequent, your tour director can be a huge asset in getting the help that you need. Now, if you're on your own or you haven't met up with a group yet, seek help directly from the source. So if your airline departure is delayed or you are having problems with your car rental, we ask that you contact them directly because they're the ones that are going to be able to most help you right then and right there. Now, if you're lost, if you're like me, you have no ability to find your way out of a paper bag, you may want to ask help from locals. Most Scandinavians speak English fluently, and you will find that most are willing to lend a hand if you ask nicely, and a smile can open many doors. If you really need assistance right away, be sure that you know how to place a call while you are in Scandinavia and what the local emergency numbers are, because they are not 911. So if you look on page 31 of our helpful hints, it will give you the emergency contact information for the different countries. Now, if your passport goes missing, know where the U.S. Embassy is located so you can immediately start the process of getting a new one. And finally, be adventurous. Don't let one bad thing ruin a great trip. And just remember the stories that you can tell when you get back home. So here are just some other just random tips that really didn't fit anywhere else that we kind of compiled here at the office. So first is to step over the thresholds at hotels. Many thresholds in Scandinavia are raised, and you'll find yourself stumbling if you're not careful. Also, be cautious when getting in and out of bathtubs in Scandinavia, as many of them tend to be taller than the tubs here in the US. Now, after finishing a great meal, you might find that your waiter or waitress just keeps coming back to check on you, but never brings the check. So if this is happening, just kindly ask for the bill, and you'll soon be on your way. They won't bring it if you ask. And speaking of eating out, tipping in Scandinavia is not typical, as many restaurants will include a service charge in your bill. You can leave a few kroner, say up to the next 5 or 10, for your waiter or waitress if they were attentive, but leaving a 20% tip is just not necessary. And while we're on the topic of tipping, we do leave tipping up to your discretion on the tour for the guides and the bus driver. You'll find a handy guideline in your helpful hints booklet on page 23. You can offer a tip in US dollars, but local currency is usually preferable. Now, if any of you have ever arrived to your hotel and opened your suitcase to find that your shampoo has exploded all over your clothes, it's not a very fun thing. So I would recommend packing your shampoo, conditioner, soaps, any other liquids in a Ziploc bag, and it's just a good way to save your clothing. So you may also want to bring a small bit of soap to hand wash any items you want to rewear. Another handy tip is to call your bank or credit card company before you leave the US. So I know that we talked about this earlier, but I can't stress it enough. So let them know how long you will be gone, where you'll be going. It's the last thing you want to worry about on your trip is how you're going to pay for things. So pack a couple of days before you actually leave. This will give you a chance to catch anything you might have missed. And finally, pack some snacks to take along with you. Granola bars, trail mix, chips, candy bars, anything like that. You can use the space to bring home items that you've purchased along the way on your way back. So some things that you may not want to bring, any fruits or vegetables, obviously, those will be taken away from you. So, but anything that's prepackaged will be fine. So these are some questions that were sent in on the registration form. So I just wanted to answer some of these questions. How much money should I bring? And this is a really hard question to actually answer because it depends really on a number of factors. How long you'll be staying, the extent of your travels, and your shopping and sightseeing plans. So our tours include all of your breakfast and most dinners. However, lunches are usually left up to you. You can expect to spend anywhere between $5 to $15 for a lunch in Norway. But really, if you eat a large breakfast, bring a snack with you, and eat a pretty decent dinner, you'll find that you really won't be needing lunch that often. Other expenses are usually of a personal nature, such as laundry, drinks at dinner, taxis, and gratuity for the drivers and guides. So really it just kind of depends on what your travel budget is and how much you're expecting to spend on souvenirs and things like that. Um, let's see, should I get money before leaving the US? If your bank can exchange US dollars to kroner or euros, then that's great. But a lot of banks may not carry that currency. So you may want to contact them ahead of time to make sure that they actually have it on hand. Euros are usually a little bit easier to find. Um, you may also want to inquire if there's any fees and what the exchange rate would be. So you can then compare this to the market value to see if you're getting a good rate of exchange. Like I said earlier, you can also exchange money at airports and collect money from ATMs once you get to Scandinavia. How will I recognize others on tour? So after you get off your plane in your arrival city, the easiest way to spot other Brekke tour participants is to look for a Brekke tote bag and or the luggage tag. So we made our tags really bright and really orange to make them easy to see and identify. So it will not only help you find your luggage, it'll help you find other people on the tour. Then, of course, people collected around the tour guide. That's another easy way to find everybody. So if you arrive early, where do I meet the group? The easiest place to meet the group is at the dinner the night the group is scheduled to arrive. You'll receive the information in your departure letter, but usually it's around 6:30 or 7 at your arrival hotel. So if you're, for instance, going to be arriving in Oslo, typically we stay at the Grand Hotel. So 6:30 or 7 at the Grand Hotel is usually where you would meet your group for dinner. Should I bring caps and mittens? Personally, I prefer the chance to be warmer than colder. That's if your tour includes time on a boat, which most of them do. Most of them will include a fjord cruise. Or if you plan to trek up north of the Arctic Circle or into the mountains, it's certainly not a bad idea to pack some warmer clothing. For me, you can always take off a layer if you're too warm, but it's hard to bundle up if you left those items at home. Are seats assigned on the motor coach? No, we do ask that everyone on tour switch seats on board so that everybody gets a chance to sit where they want. A few more questions. Do my medications need to be in a pharmacy labeled bottle? And currently, the TSA does not require passengers to have medications in prescription bottles. However, I would recommend taking a copy of your prescription or snap a picture just so you have it in case your pills happen to get lost or stolen. And can I use my phone while in Norway? And this would apply really to anywhere in Scandinavia. Unless you have an international plan, your phone will probably not work. You can contact your carrier, so Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, whoever it is that you use, about getting an international plan to see what it would cost. There are ways to make calls back home, though, when you're connected to Wi-Fi. So you can find Wi-Fi at the hotels, of course, and then most of the time on our buses, you'll have Wi-Fi as well. So you can FaceTime, you can Skype, things like that, the video chat applications. So just be sure to download them to your phone and try them out before you head overseas. Will I be able to wash my clothes? So if you're planning to pack light and wash your clothes while traveling, you may be in for a challenge. Laundromats are pretty scarce. Some hotels do offer laundry services, but it can be pricey. So taking items that can be easily hand washed in the sink and then hung to dry overnight is a great way to keep your garment smelling and looking fresh. So tips or suggestions for souvenirs. Depending on what country or area you're visiting, there's some great options that you can pick up to remember your time in Scandinavia, such as postcards, Christmas ornaments, linens, magnets, music CDs, flags, clothing such as a Norwegian sweater, and small items that are great for packing in your luggage for a return trip home. So I usually get Christmas ornaments usually because they're small and lightweight. So because I tend to overpack. Other items, if you do have room, you may want to think about trolls, Dala horses, Viking replica carvings, glassware, reindeer or animal pelts, candles, pewter, and other silver items. Liquors are also popular, but you must pack those in your checked luggage. They won't allow you to take those on your carry-on. If you do need items shipped home, that can usually be arranged at the shop that you're purchasing your souvenir. at, and you can ask also if they have an online store. So that might be another option. That way is you can just purchase it and have it shipped directly to your home. Let's see. Speaking of souvenir shopping, what is VAT? That's a value added tax. So if you do any extensive shopping while in Scandinavia, you'll want to bring your passport along on your shopping trip. Get the necessary documents from the retailer and track down the right folks at the airport, port, or border when you leave in order to receive your value added tax refund. So you will get a refund on your tax that you paid if you spend over a certain amount. So for instance, in Norway, if you spend over 315 kroner in a store, you'll get your VAT back. So unfortunately, you can't add up your purchases from various shops to reach the required amount. So if you find a really good store that has a lot of the items that you want, go ahead and purchase them in that one store. And then as you leave, as you cross the border, or if you are flying out, you can go to the Global Blue little kiosk and get that refund. So if you're worried about what you'll be eating while on tour, not to worry, you'll get a variety of options. So each morning you'll be greeted with a full Scandinavian breakfast buffet, which usually includes a variety of breads, cereal, fruits, yogurt, meat, warm dishes such as scrambled eggs and bacon sausage, cheese, jams, and more. And then for dinner, it's more the same, lots of choices. There are several different choices of meat and fish, fruits and veggies, breads, potatoes, and desserts. Now, we had somebody ask what are some things that we recommend trying while in Scandinavia. Personally, reindeer, that's something that you usually don't find here in the US. Different kinds of fish, yogurt, cream, and ice cream. They are really good in Scandinavia. They have a higher cream content, so they are extra delicious. Strawberries, cheeses, meatballs, of course, if you're going to Sweden, waffles, berries such as lingonberries and cloudberries, and of course the breads. Everything is homemade there. It's so good. You may also want to try some regional drinks such as aquavit, beer, mixed drinks, and wine. So the last question was flying with CPAP machines. If you're planning to fly with a CPAP, it's considered a medical device. It's not counted as part of your carry-on. So it's not going to count against you. You can still bring your purse or another item. To bring one on board, you must submit the make and model in order to get authorization to carry it on board. So this information must be entered no later than 72 hours prior to the original departure time. So if you are flying out, say, on Monday, the 14th, you would need to submit that at least 72 hours prior to your departure. And that information can actually be sent to us, and then we will in turn send it to the airlines. So it's just the make and model, and then of course your name, and we'll find your name and send your flight information over to the airlines to get that approved. All right, and now you know. At this time, I'm going to open it up to additional questions that I maybe didn't cover, or if you thought of something along the way. We do have a couple of questions here. Um, let's see here. On Hurtigruten, are there any shore trips that typically fill up, and should we sign up ahead of time if we are particularly interested? Or can we wait to sign up for when we are on board and be more spontaneous? Well, that is a very good question, Jean. Some shore excursions do tend to fill up if they have limited space. For instance, Sea Eagle Safari, because you are boarding a smaller vessel, they only have a limited amount of seats. So if those seats fill up, then unfortunately you won't be able to book that, closer to the departure date. So we do recommend that you go ahead and pre-book those short excursions just to make sure that that you do have a spot if it's something that you really, really want to do. So let's see. Um, Amelia, I see your question here about somebody celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. I will actually contact you directly on that, and we'll come up with some ideas on maybe what we could do to celebrate that. Um, let's see, Jillian, you were asking about a pre-tour extension to the Faroe Islands. I am assuming that you are going on one of our escorted tours, and usually that is an independent thing, so it will just be you and whoever it is that you're traveling with. So husband, children, brother, sister, whoever it is, that will probably be it. So you may have other people actually on the tours that you, if you've booked any tours locally, then there probably will be other people on those tours, but they won't be associated with Brekke tours or clients of ours necessarily. Does a large backpack count as a carry-on? Yes, Beth. Usually, like when I travel, I will carry a backpack that has my laptop, and then I'll put my purse in there. So that counts as your carry-on item. So um, it, I guess it just depends on how big the backpack is. If it's one of those that looks more like a purse, then that would be your personal item. So, but if it's something that's, like what am I thinking? Like when you're going overseas and you're just taking your backpack along and it's stuffed full of everything, then that's probably your carry-on item. Marilyn, you're asking about special dietary needs. We ask that you send those to us, and then we will advise the hotels and restaurants, wherever it is that we may have meals planned, so that we can make other arrangements ahead of time. I've never had a problem in Scandinavia getting an alternative meal. Personally, I don't really care for fish that much, and fish is predominantly offered in Norway and Scandinavia. So usually I just put on there, on my little record, no fish, and they'll offer me a vegetarian meal or a chicken or something else. So it's not a problem. We can certainly ask that. Do we have any other questions? So if you do think of one later, not a problem. I'm one of those that is like, oh, I should have asked that when I had everybody, had everybody's attention. But here is our contact information. Feel free to give us a call, send us an email, visit us online. The helpful hints booklet that I referred to is actually on our website. You can actually just download it straight from our website. If you need help finding it, we are more than happy to help you. It's actually found under our resources tab that you'll see up along the top. And in that, you can just download it directly from our website. But do we have any other questions? Did I answer them all? I can't believe that. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I can let everyone go. I do want to thank you for joining me this afternoon. I hope what I covered was a little bit informative and that you are excited about traveling to Scandinavia with us this summer. Please give us a call if you do have any other questions that you think of later. If you did send a specific question on the registration form, again, we will be contacting you directly. It may not be me personally, but somebody in our office, I'll say that, will be reaching out to you to make sure that your answers or your questions are answered. So thank you very much, everybody. Look forward to seeing you guys in Scandinavia this summer. Have a great afternoon.